Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome to Life Simplified. This is Amanda, your host for today, and we are going to be concluding our month of Move Your Way challenge. This month, we've been discussing movement, encouraging to move your own way. We've talked about physical activity, the barriers to physical activity. We've talked about ways to make physical activity fun. And so today we're going to be talking about how to celebrate those small wins and those small things that we're accomplishing. And we're also going to talk about ways that you can continue or advance your physical activity as you move through if you're participating in our Walk Your Way challenge. So I found a quote that I thought was good, probably for life in general, as we're all kind of sitting around here. We've been talking about life's been stressful for us, but also to help you continue on your physical fitness journey. The quote is from Arthur Ashe, and it is, "Success is a journey, not a destination. The doing is often more important than the outcome." And so I think that applies to life, and it applies to our physical fitness journeys that we're all embarking on this year. And so we're going to talk a little bit about ways to celebrate, and I wanted to really focus on small wins, because a lot of times we wait until we accomplish that large goal. You know, you're walking you're running that mile without stopping, or you're doing that physical activity, and you're less out of breath. Like, small wins is what we're really talking about, not the larger wins. So we want to really look at small wins because it helps us create the momentum to get us to our bigger goal. And so thinking about breaking our physical activity into just smaller steps that can really encourage us. So I keep referring to running because that's kind of what I enjoy doing. But it's whether you're running 2 to 3 minutes, that's the small win. And if you hit that small win, you're like, you know what, I could go a little bit farther. Some other things could be just trying to improve your health, even if it's getting up early to exercise. That could be something. Or just taking a walk during your lunch break, going to the gym after work, or choosing a healthy option at a restaurant. That could be a small goal. So just anything that you can kind of think about that helps you bring you to your larger goal. So one thing to think about, and when we're trying to get to our small wins, is just being consistent with them, and always remembering that there's always a time we may fail. And so even though we don't like to say that word, it does happen. And I can kind of relate to this week. I've just had a lot going on, and I haven't been able to do any extra physical activity or anything like that. It's kind of like a survival week. And so I'm acknowledging that, it is what it is. Like, I'm here, and I'll try better next week. So even though I still have a couple more days that I may be able to get something in, but I just feel like that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about the small wins.
And I think that's so important too. And I'm right here with you. It's very easy for me to beat myself up for not accomplishing what I intend to accomplish. And I think the important part with that is to not be so hard on yourself, and know that, yes, you're going to have those busy seasons in life, and you're going to have busy weeks, and you're going to have busy days, and to give yourself grace for that, and then move on and try again the next day or the next week. Maybe this week isn't just not going to work out, but next week is a new week. It's a new day. Start fresh from there.
Yeah, I think I'm in a survival month. It's been going on. It feels like week after week. And I immediately was thinking, I have nothing, I've not been able to do anything. I have nothing to celebrate. But I think sometimes it's just changing our mindset and rethinking it, because I haven't been able to do my exercise routine that I want to do, that I feel like it is what I should, I guess I'm shoulding myself, which is not great, be doing. But then I got to thinking, I was out of town last week for a work conference, and I didn't do my workout routine, but I walked a lot. Like, we were in a very walkable city, so anytime I had a break or in the evenings, I explored a lot, and I walked several miles a day, which is more than I would do on a regular day. So I was still moving. I was still being physically active, and that is a win. I didn't just sit. I didn't just give up. And so I think sometimes maybe it's not exactly what we wanted to do or we intended to do, but did we do something? Did we still like throw some other kind of movement in there? Because life is busy, and routines, you know, we've learned we have to be able to be flexible and pivot. So celebrate what you did get to do instead of really being hard on yourself for what you didn't get to do.
I totally agree with that. And I like how you're saying you're trying to find something to celebrate, even though, you know, it wasn't what you wanted to do. And that's really important. Just, and thinking and about that is you're prioritizing exercising and just moving in general. And you did that. So what are some ways that you all celebrate small wins? So I did a little questionnaire, and I have a friend who she exercises a lot and does different things. And she responded by, my personal favorite is a massage or a pedicure. And I'm like, yes, I can go with that. She said, but if it's a bigger goal, so she's saying that massages and pedicures are her small wins. And then if it's a big win, a big thing to celebrate, she said maybe a trip. She did a marathon recently, and so she rewarded herself with going to Disney. So that's a large win. So that kind of gives you a good idea of like, hey, here's the small wins you can do for the small things you progress, or large.
I mean, if you take me to Disney, I might run. I don't run, but you might get me to run.
Right. They have Disney,
like multiple marathons.
Marathons. I think you can do like the 5K version.
There's a princess, like half, I think.
Yeah, she did that. She did the 5K, the half, and then the full, like within 3 days. And I was like, she's a rock star.
I'm not going to run that much, but I'll do the 5K with you. I might make it through the 5K. I may speed walk. I'll be the speed walking lady.
There you go.
But like thinking about her journey, because I've done a half marathon before, and it's like you do have to celebrate the halfway point. So she probably was getting the massages and the pedicures as she was building up to the big thing. So that's a good way to kind of look at that. So what about anybody else? What's a way that you kind of celebrate those small wins that you all have accomplished?
Well, I'm just going to turn it in a kind of different direction. I have rewarded myself with food. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's not what we're supposed to do, but sometimes that's how it goes too. So, and that just, in my mind, it's okay to do that, but it's not really, because if you're trying to be healthy and do, change your mindset when it comes to your health, that's not a good way to reward yourself. So I have changed that, but I have in the past rewarded myself with food.
Well, I think it is moderation though, because my thing is if I try to cut anything out, like if I tell myself I'm not going to eat any pizza, well then that's all I'm going to want, and I'm going to want to eat a whole pizza. But every once in a while it's like, okay, I'm going to have a couple slices. It's okay. So I don't know that it's a terrible thing.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, but to me though, if you're trying to make changes in your life, in your diet and your physical, that's not a good way to reward yourself though. With a Snickers bar and a Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Come on. To choose, maybe. I think if it's a sometimes thing and you've been doing really well and you're just like, some days you just need a treat.
Right. Progress is key. So even if you do, like we talked about, having setbacks, there's nothing wrong with that.
So I like to reward myself with clothes. I like clothes. I like having new things. I like new styles. I like seeing what's in and what's not. And I don't know. I know it's one of the ways I enjoy. Like, ooh, I worked really hard and I'm going to wear this outfit.
I like to get a massage. I think that's probably the way that I reward myself. Both, I don't guess I really think of it as being for physical activity, but just in general for accomplishing whatever I need to accomplish for that month. I will reward myself with a massage.
No, those are good ways. And thinking about, it could be just you allow yourself some time to yourself. Like a suggestion was kind of you take a 5 or 10 minute break and you get some fresh air. It could be, some people like to meditate. That could be, just it's whatever you want it to look like. So it doesn't have to be something that you buy. It could be, anything like going for a walk or
sitting down to read your book.
Yeah, sitting down to read your book.
Giving yourself 15 minutes to sit down to read your book. I do that as well. I made it through which Tiffany likes the HIIT workouts. Well, my daughter is playing a sport, and she's playing soccer this year, and she missed a training session for another extracurricular activity. And so one of the things that we agreed on is when you miss your training session, then you need to do something at home. So I said I would do it with her. And so I made it through this workout, and it was a challenge because I was sitting here trying to encourage her while I was struggling myself. And so, yes, we high-fived each other at the end. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, and now I'm going to read my book, and someone else is going to cook supper tonight. So,
and that was
my reward for my small win of making it through that workout.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. You just said someone else is going to make supper tonight. And I think that is one thing. Like, if you're working really hard and you're trying to change the way you're eating and you're trying to be more physically active, and that typically lends itself to you're in the kitchen a lot. You're cooking a lot. You're spending a lot of time there. And it can be exhausting when that's on top of all the other things you're doing. So for me, it's definitely like, okay, I've done all the things this week. I'm going to need to not have to cook. And if that means eating out, then I think that's okay. And just because you're eating out doesn't mean you have to eat junk. There are, healthy choices when you eat out. But I think it's okay to do that. Like, give yourself just that break, because we have so much on our plate that sometimes we don't want to be the one that fills people's plates. We want to go somewhere else and let them do it and do the dishes.
Exactly. And so we talked about how it is sometimes a struggle, right? And so I just want to encourage you all to keep the momentum going. So doing that, just learn from mistakes that you've made. Look at the way you look at things, like Tiffany was talking about earlier, like changing your mindset. Just think positively. And most of all, just kind of have fun with it, because it can be challenging, but it is really fun. And so thinking about next steps as well. And talking about our Walk Your Way challenge, so kind of bringing it back to the physical activity aspect. Do you want to continue walking, or do you want to continue doing whatever it is that you've been doing? What are some ways that you can incorporate more walking, if that's your goal, into your day? Thinking about, can I add more in as I continue to go? Or is there a new activity that you want to try out? Is there anything new that you all thought, I've accomplished this, I've done this HIIT workout? Maybe Ashley's wanting to do more HIIT workouts.
I do not.
Is there?
I do not want to do that. I would like to continue walking.
That's not a new activity for Ashley. But
would you like to do some HIIT workouts next week?
Is there a new one that you want to try out to add in now that you've built that confidence? You've celebrated those small wins. Maybe you've accomplished a large goal that you wanted to do. And thinking about if there's something new.
I have decided, though, that while I have really been pushing myself in the afternoons to get my walk in, or if the weather is not nice enough to be outside taking a walk, I've really had to push myself to do something in the house in the afternoons. And I have discovered that afternoons are not my thing. Like, as much as I do not really want to get up any earlier, I am best in the morning before I start my day, because by the time I finish my day, I don't want to move anymore. I mean, I don't go sit on the couch most days and not move at all, but I do like to have that time to sit and relax before it is time to cook dinner and start moving and taking care of things around the home. And so for me, I'm going to have to make that change if I want to keep this routine. So I think trying something and then being like, okay, while I want to do it this way, this is not going to work for me because this is not sustainable. And then being able to make that shift. So that may take me a little time to get back into that habit because I don't want to get up any earlier. But I know that if I do and get moving, then I'm going to feel better. And then when I get home, I'm going to be able to sit down and have a conversation with my family before I get back up again and start fixing the healthy meals.
To conclude our episode today, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to talk about if you want to continue walking, right? Because we're talking about what's next, what's our next steps. And then like Tiffany, she said she does exercise videos. We have a publication that I'm going to kind of go over a few. If you've not done a physical activity video before, some pros and cons and things to think about if maybe that's the direction that you want to go as you continue your journey. So if you want to continue walking, keep track of your progress. So that could help you, encourage you to either walk a little bit farther maybe the next time, just especially, as you wind down. You can use a calendar to do this. You could put X's. You could continue. If you're doing this challenge with us, we gave you a calendar where you write how many minutes you walked or how many miles you walked or steps you walked. Keep track of that and make sure that you're continuing to increase what you're already doing if walking is something that you're wanting to do. You could also start carrying weights as you're walking. So if you wanted to get, 5-pound weights, 2-pound weights, whatever that may be, they make, weights you can put on your body or your legs, or if you want to just pack them, they have weights with like little handles you can put your hand through. There's all different kinds of things, but that way you're getting some muscle building within your walking routine. Continue setting goals for yourself. So even after you've achieved, you're celebrating your small wins, you've maybe celebrated a large win, set a new goal for yourself. And then, of course, we've mentioned this before, don't forget a buddy. So maybe that could be the next step, is to get someone in there exercising and walking with you. Because we all know it's a lot easier when you have somebody there to talk to. So thinking about exercise videos. So if that's something that you want to kind of venture down, because I think we've mentioned in one of our podcasts previously, going to the gym may not be for everybody. It may be kind of intimidating. And so exercise videos, you can find some that are free online. There's paid ones that you can do. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but it is encouraged that if you're wanting to advance and try something new, just make sure that you talk to your doctor about it and make sure that whatever journey you're wanting to go on, that your doctor is okay with it. And so some pros for getting into doing exercise videos. It can be much easier to try something new before you pay to go to a class that you don't like. So that's if your local gym has HIIT workouts and you're like, I don't know if I like it or not, you could try a video at home. You don't have to leave your house. That's a plus for me these days. In our busy world, we feel like we're always going somewhere. It's easy to just pop in the video player and just start. Mm-hmm. And I think Tiffany mentioned that it's easier for her. It takes less time out of her day to put her, change clothes, put her shoes on, and then she's already home and don't have to add that extra minute of driving and things like that. And another pro is that you can do it any time of day. So Ashley said she likes mornings. She could wake up at 4 a.m. and exercise her little heart out, or she could do it at 11 o'clock at night when everybody's asleep. And it's whatever works best with you, your schedule. So that is a benefit, of course, of doing exercise videos at home. So some cons is the instructor can't tell if you're doing the activity correctly.
Yeah, that is one thing I've worried about, but if you can find a mirror in your house, honestly, or a window, being able to see yourself, you can usually tell if you've got the right form or not. But if you can't see yourself at all, like that can be something that's intimidating and that I worried about. So try maybe if you have like a full length mirror until you really understand how it's supposed to go, look at yourself and see, am I doing the same thing that this instructor is doing? Is my body in the same form? Because you don't want to injure yourself.
Another con is it can be hard to stick to it on a day-to-day basis.
That would be hard for me. to stick to it, and because I mean, there's not anyone holding you accountable except for yourself, and that would be hard for me once I'm home to be like, okay, let's turn this video on.
It can be hard. I will say one thing that is helpful, and again, I'm in a busy time, so I've not necessarily done what I want to do. But what does help with what I do is my videos are subscription based, and so the people that subscribe to these also have a private Facebook group, and each day, like, we're encouraged to post a picture after our workout, and we kind of like hold our fingers up for which day of the week we're on, because our goal is to work out 5 out of 7 days. And so we post like day 2, I happen like kind of look like I'm giving a peace sign, and everybody can kind of like and love and encourage each other on that private Facebook page. So it gives you a little bit of that encouragement. Now, it's not necessarily going to keep you from skipping if you really want to skip, but it does have a level of accountability built in within the group and encouragement.
And then the last one, and I think it kind of depends on what you're doing, is they can be boring. And
mine's not boring.
I look at that like, she's like, no, I'm barely surviving over here. I think I can kind of relate to that. Like, I've done like an exercise series where you do the same like 5 exercises for 4 weeks in a row. And then the next 4 weeks you'll do different, because you're building. It's not the same exercise every day, but you're doing the same ones every week.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that can be kind of repetitive.
It could be. It could be, depending on what you're doing. The one I do is a new video launches every morning. Like, so you don't see that video until that morning of that day, pretty early, and it rotates. Like, you'll start with arms and chest day, then you'll do legs and booty day, then you'll do back and core, then you'll do full body, then something else. Like, it's different every day, but it's a new video every week as well. So every once in a while they'll do a throwback video from months ago or even years ago, but it keeps it pretty fresh. So if you're worried about being bored, finding something that does that, where they're rotating on a really regular basis, can keep it from getting boring. Because I would get bored if I did the same thing over and over again, but she keeps me guessing.
So if you are interested in trying out a new exercise video and you do not want to purchase it, there are some free ones online, like I mentioned, or your local library may have some that you can check out and just give it a try before you completely commit to it. Also, the UK FCS Extension YouTube channel also has some exercise segments and how-to videos to help you get started if you're wanting to switch, or maybe even not switch, but just add in exercise videos into your walking routine that you're already doing. So we talked about trying something new, advancing your exercise routine, your walking, increasing that. We talked about videos. We'll talk a little bit about spending some time at the gym, because it may not be something that you've done before, or it could be something that it's been a while and you just want to kind of maybe try it out again. So again, if it's something you're wanting to do, maybe talk to your doctor about what exercises or what things you're wanting to do before you start that journey. But when you're at the gym, thinking about, and it's the same if you're exercising anytime, you want to make sure that you're warming up and you're cooling down. So just like when you're on your walking journey, it's important to do a warm up where you maybe walk 3 to 5 minutes and kind of get your blood flowing and your muscles ready to exercise before. And that's the same thing for a cool down. So you want to add that in when you're going to the gym. Keep in mind, you want to make slow improvements. So you're not going to, if you haven't exercised in a while, you're not going to go in there and bench press 125 pounds, right? Whatever it may be.
The bar.
It could be the bar. Yeah. Slow progress. Kind of like walking. If you did the walking journey, you have to build up, and that's the same with your muscles. Take your time and do slow improvements. Another tip is watch where you step. So make sure that there's not anybody else's water bottles laying around. Maybe there's a weight laying that someone else is using. Just making sure you're watching and being aware of your area. If you're unsure on how to use a machine, ask somebody. So typically if you go, if you're going with a friend, they may know, or somebody who's there at that facility would be able to help you learn. And I don't know if you all feel the same way. Sometimes I've been into the gym and I'm like, I don't even know what this is supposed to do. So don't feel bad if you don't know, because some of them can kind of be intimidating.
I've always been intimidated by the machines in a gym. I'm a class girl. I like going to the classes, but I've always been intimidated by the machines. And finally, when I started going back to the gym, I was in a position where I was like, you know what? I am going to hire a personal trainer just for 4 weeks. And so I talked to the lady who was there and I said, is this okay? Like, I don't want to, it's not something I want to continue, but I just need to learn how to use these machines. And she was like, yes, of course that's okay. Cause I felt kind of bad because I didn't want to be like, yeah, I'm only going to do this for a couple of times so that I can figure it out to do it by myself. But she said, that's my job. My job is to train you. And then some people keep a personal trainer because that is for motivation and that's helpful for them. And that's within their budget. And some people just want a trainer for a short amount of time. And so that, to me, gave me that permission to be like, okay, well, I only want to do this for a little bit so that I can learn how to use them. And I know that's not in everyone's budget, but that may be something to look into if it is within your budget, just for a little bit, just to become more comfortable. And now I feel like I can go into the gym and I know what I'm doing.
And I think some gyms, if you're joining and you're new, a lot of times in that first month or those first few weeks, they'll offer at least one session with a trainer so that you can get familiar with the machines. And so you may want to ask your gym if that's something they offer included with your new membership. And if so, take advantage of it, because that way you know how to utilize the machines. You're not going to hurt yourself, and you don't have to be intimidated or embarrassed walking in and trying to get started on a routine.
The next couple should be something that we do all the time, no matter what, is clean up after yourself. Make sure you're cleaning the machines. And I think about, there's like some new commercials going on where there's people working out, and maybe like a bed commercial or something, and they're like exercising and they get up and they're sweat, and the guy just walks off and she's like, how do you sleep at night? And it's
yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but it just, that kind of popped into my mind. But yes, clean up after yourself. I mean, of course, we went through the COVID era, but still in general, just, they usually have sprays, they usually have towels. Just pack that around with you and make sure you're kind of sanitizing. And some people sanitize before they work out because they may not, you don't know if the person that was before you actually did it.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a germaphobe, and please clean after yourself, but I'm still going to.
So that's something to keep in mind. And then maybe invite your buddy. So if you did have that person that you were walking with on the walking challenge, or you may meet somebody new at the gym that you want to kind of partner up with and visit with and go to the gym with. So I hope today you have learned a little bit about the importance of what a small win is, how to celebrate it, why we need to celebrate those small wins, and then also just different ways to continue your exercise journey, whether it's continuing to walk but increasing it, or if it's trying out a new exercise, an exercise video, maybe you're going to go to the gym. So just continuing to challenge yourself and setting those goals and keeping that going, because progress is key, even if it's a small progress. But thinking just to have fun with it, and remember, and I think we've talked about this a lot, is just your mindset, to keep that mindset, and sometimes just looking at different ways to celebrate the challenges and overcome that you experience while you're on your exercise journey. So thank you so much for joining us. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.